Thank you for joining me for this informative presentation on the ADDIE model for instructional design. I am Anna-jeanne Lucero, a graduate student in the Instructional Design and Technology program at St. Thomas University. During this presentation, we will cover what is the ADDIE model and each component therein, those being analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. To start, what is the ADDIE model? In short, the ADDIE model, or ADDIE process, is a dynamic, flexible guideline for building effective training and performance support tools, often labeled as a generic process for instructional design, which has led to a number of spin-offs or variations. This model is based on a systematic product development concept. Some strengths of the ADDIE model consist of the facts that the model is a method of describing the essential components of any instructional design model. Scholars generally agree that ADDIE is an illustration of the essential steps of the instructional design development process. The model is useful as a framework for comparing and contrasting other instructional design and development models, and the model is intended to guide individuals through the process of creating and evaluating instruction. However, even though the ADDIE model is an effective tool and has many strengths, it is not to be forgotten that this model is not a specific or fully elaborated model in its own right, but rather an exemplar that refers to a family of models that share a common structure. But why is it called ADDIE? Well, ADDIE is an acronym for the 5 phases within the process: analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. Each phase will be discussed in detail during this presentation. First, analyze. Often 3 aspects of the course are clarified in this phase: the instructional goals, the needs of the targeted audience, and the resources to be used during instruction. Regardless of what you call them, objectives, goals, outcomes, in order to design any effective course of instruction, a designer first must determine what the learners need to know or be able to do and identify the desired outcomes of the course. To accomplish this, many times a needs assessment is conducted prior to beginning development. Upon completing the assessment, identification of a performance problem or learning gap is realized, and goals or objectives of the design are established. Additionally, the learning environment is determined, how and where training or instruction will take place. Second, design. As with the analyze phase, the design phase can also be broken into 3 parts. First, designers will create outlines of specific, measurable learning objectives for instruction. Next, the designers create outlines of learning activities that move learners towards mastery of the instructional goals determined in the analyze phase and support the instructional objectives of the course. The final aspect in the design phase is to develop instructional assessments. Assessments should align to the learning and instructional objectives of the course and be appropriate for the type of instruction offered. Assessments can also be formal or informal and should allow for instructor feedback. The development phase includes all the work that goes into creating the final course. The outlines created during the design phase will provide overall structure for the course by expanding on them and the components of instruction. The aesthetics and delivery of the instructional content is decided in this stage. Additionally, learning resources are designed, supporting media is chosen, as well as guidance for instructors and learners. Lastly, in this phase, resources are reviewed and a pilot test of instruction is completed. In the implement stage, the course is delivered. The instructional designer prepares learners by administering the course, going over the curriculum, conducting or assessing assessments, and requesting feedback from the learners. Feedback can be obtained through surveys, a learning management system, or by other means to assess learner concerns or inquiries. The last phase of ADDIE is the evaluation phase. In this phase, gathering of direct feedback and information on the success of the course takes place. This is from both the perspective of the learners as well as the organization. The information is used to review, revise, and improve the course offerings, as well as provide points to implementation in future courses. It is also important in this phase to see if any knowledge gaps remain in the learners that need to be addressed. With all of this being said, it is important to remember that instructional design is typically not completed in a linear fashion. This is due to the fact that as a course is in the process of development, input and data is collected. This information often makes it necessary to move fluidly between the phases of analyze and design, in addition to formative evaluation and revision. The fluidity of the instructional design process is one of its greatest strengths.